Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are here.
Heidi ho.
Heidi ho. I like that.
Yeah, are we a family program?
Only in the southern states.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Canada.
Yeah.
I love my Canadian friends.
I do too.
I do.
I do too.
That's what it's all about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Those poor bastards right now. Oh, God help us all. Sorry, I'm looking at it. I'm like getting 14 messages all at the same time. So welcome everybody to the show. Tonight we are going to talk about, well, who knows? You never know with us because we always get sidetracked. But what we're planning on talking about tonight are two really cool projects. Arron's Camaro, which is traditionally been a big tire, bracket car. And it's, oh boy, is it cool now. Or cooler now, I should say. And then Ryan's son, Jake, who has been working on his S10, getting it ready for Mega Week. So that's been the thrash. I noticed that there have been some changes around the Wing household as far as whose junk is getting worked on and like who's getting parts and not parts. So we'll talk about a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Jake's truck's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it's way cooler than my shit.
Well, it's getting more parts than your shit is. So
yes. Exactly. So I guess, well, let's talk about Arron's car first. Just because I have those photos teed up first, and then we'll get into talking about Jake's truck. So tell everybody the story of this car to begin with, Arron. Like, how long have you had this thing? Tell us all the lowdown on it.
So I'll give the most abbreviated version. In 1997, I was at Fort Lewis. I was in the Army. I bought this car from a sergeant friend of mine. I think I paid $1,200 for it at the time. I commuted back and forth the post with it. Did some car club racing with it here and there. Around had to be like 2003. I started to make some decent money. I bought a 434 small block for it, which in 2003, a 434 small block was not commonplace.
No.
So it was, still on factory small tires, like a 2810.5 was what it ran. And essentially it was more power than really that car was designed to have on leaf springs. And so it started trying to pull the driver's side leaf spring pocket out of the body on the floor.
Oh, nice.
So fast forward a little bit, 2004, tubbed it with some buddies of mine. Before that, we welded a cage in it or a roll bar in it with my buddies in the garage. And then when we back halved it in 2004, we finished up the cage. But if anybody knows anything about you put a roll bar in, it has to be 1 3/4.
Right.
You put a cage in, it could be a smaller bar. So the cage in this thing was, one, home welded by me and my buddies, and two, it was heavy. So
you went from a 1 3/4 roll bar. You finished the cage with also 1 3/4. Was that right?
No, I finished it. You could finish it with 1 5/8 per the rule, and that's what we did.
Yeah. Okay. So you did. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
but still heavy because it had all this extra, tubing in it.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
So I raced that car, won a couple track championships, run it up to a couple, all the way through 2009. I sold it to my buddy Jeremy Sears, who raced it for a couple of years. The Sears family is a great family. I raced with them for a number of years. Who sold it to my friend Zach Craig, who then ended up moving to Tennessee. I raced my Nova after that because I built that in my garage. Then I raced a little bit of top dragster Division 6. And then I moved to Iowa, and I'm racing this top dragster thing and just bracket racing. I got way too much money in this crap to just be bracket racing it,
Right.
And I had Sean Langdon's 2008 Super Comp Championship dragsters, what I had.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I decided I'm going to sell the engine out of the dragster. I'm going to sell the dragster. My buddy Zach goes, hey, your old car is going to be up for sale. Wasn't listed for sale, but he had sold it to a guy in Kentucky. So couple conversations, via messenger and stuff. Yeah, he'll sell it, blah, blah, blah. Drive like 3 days before Christmas. I drive to Kentucky to go get the car. Show up there. First thing out of his mouth is, well, I don't know if I want to sell it. And I'm like, well, let me get you paid. And I just start doling out $100 bills.
Right.
Now, mind you, I paid more for the car getting it back than I did when I initially sold it in 2009. Still, right. Got him paid. He tries telling me everything about the car. And I'm like, listen, dude, I built this car. Okay. My buddy's on after me. I know everything about this. I said, by the way, do you have the title? He said, yeah, let me go grab it. It was still in my name.
No.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So fast forward, I bought the car back in the end of 16. I raced it in the Midwest until I moved down here, and I haven't raced since I've been down here. I had a good friend that died on track at Woodburn this last year. 2 other friends that wrecked pretty badly. Both those guys walked away. And so it got me thinking that, my 23 to 25-year-old self put together this car back in the day, the best we could with no money. And it probably needs updated. So I took it to Tynan Race Cars. Bob's a great guy, did an amazing job on the car, and basically told him I wanted it safer. And so he took and cut the entire cage out, ended up cutting the whole back half out of the car, and redoing that. And when we scaled the car, it lost roughly 120 pounds.
So this thing is bigger, better, stronger, faster, all the things like the Bionic Man, but also weighs less.
Yes, and my wallet weighs a lot less too.
Yeah.
Because, we put carbon tubs in it and carbon panels, and the pictures don't really do it justice. Bob does amazing work, and it's sexy. It's just sexy. I absolutely love it. And he did a couple things where he remounted stuff that I had previously mounted, and that's the trunk there. So it's just cleaned up a lot. And it had aluminum tin in it before. There's nothing wrong with aluminum tin. I just basically said, spend more money because we're already here. I'm already, what's a couple more $1,000? Right. He relocated the parachute release because it was way behind my head before and hard to reach. Not that car goes fast enough to need a parachute technically, but it
so
has
what? Yeah.
So brakes do fail occasionally. But you'll see it's got factory door panels. It doesn't have a headliner. Factory dash. It's got X bars now when it used to just have down bars on the cage. It literally is a funny car cage away from certifying to a 750 car. But the car has no business. In Chad, Ryan, you all understand this. Certain cars should only go so fast.
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
This car does not need to go any faster than an 850 cert. It doesn't.
Right.
But it just turned out amazingly nice.
The tubs look awesome. Like, the way the package tray fits, like all of that, like really. Yeah.
That's still the factory package tray. It just has carpet over the top of it.
Dude, yeah, it's nice. Very nicely done.
Yeah. New drive shaft.
I like the drive shaft loop cross member. That's cool.
He put that in because when I put that carbon shaft in, my drive shaft loop didn't fit, so I just cut the damn thing out. So technically I wasn't legal, but I also think that NHRA should update the rules. If you have a carbon drive shaft, you don't need to have a loop because it turns into a damn broom anyway.
Right.
You're not going to pole vault a car with a carbon shaft. So
no, not at all. Yeah, they're going to disintegrate. That's it. So and it's not going to not disintegrate because of the loop. So
it's going to disintegrate in the loop, or it's going to disintegrate on the ground. It doesn't really matter. So, but no, it's basically we just did everything to make the car a lot safer. The seat mounting's better. It's just, I'm super happy with it.
Yeah, dude, it looks really nice. It looks really nice. I love it. So, how big a tire are you running on it? How big a tire can it hold, etc.?
It will hold a 33.
Okay.
I've always ran a 32 14 5W on this car.
Yep.
And mainly I ran the W tire because of the stiff sidewall.
Yep.
Because even though this car, it scaled out at 2647 without me in it.
Wow.
So it still has steel doors. It still has all the factory roll-up windows and glass. And I mean, the crash bars are taken out of the doors. It has a fiberglass front clip, but all the factory lights are in it.
Yeah.
So it's relatively light, but I still kill the hell out of sidewalls and tires. And,
right.
So that's why I run the stiff sidewall tire.
Lycan's asking if it's a third gen. It's a second gen. It's a 78, 79?
79.
Yeah.
And it's not even a Z28. It's a Berlinetta. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So Lycan, just to give you a description. So 79 Camaro. It's got, like Arron said, a fiberglass front clip. It's got a fiberglass hood on it with what looks like a 6-inch cowl hood probably on it.
Yeah.
And then it's got the factory spoiler. That's the, late second gen spoiler that went down, the quarter panel edges. It's got a big tire and bead locks, and it looks awesome.
And it's got an LS with a power glide.
Oh, yeah. So what's the engine combo in it now?
It's Skog and Dickey puts out an engine called a Bracket Buster. It's a 416 cubic inch, carbureted. And I know I'm getting flamed for having a carburetor on an LS, but I have a carburetor on my LS and a distributor front drive. And but it makes 700 horsepower with a hydraulic cam, naturally aspirated.
Yeah.
And my good friend David Vassar is going to hook me up with a plate system because it's set up that it will take up to a 250 shot on top of that, just for some top end trouble. And it's just fun car to drive. It does wheelies for 50 feet. I mean, doesn't have wheelie bars.
That's perfect. I love it. It looks like an old school super stalker or whatever, you know what I mean? As far as how it sits and all that stuff. And that's great. That's what's cool on these cars. And that's
one of those. Always.
Yeah. Freiberger and Turk, raced the Camaro forever at Bonneville. And that's a 79 also. I've been 238 mile an hour in that car. And it's, so I've never owned a second gen Camaro. And I used to hate these late ones. But they've grown on me over the years and the thing's cool. I love it. It's great.
Everybody wanted a 70 to 73 originally, I said, I paid like $1,200 for this car when I first bought it. And it wasn't my favorite Camaro. It wasn't. But at the same time, it had a V8 power and, it got me back and forth the post and I was happy with that. And it's really grown on me over the years because, when I sold this and built my 66 Nova, I wanted to have one of the cool cars is what I looked at. So when I sold this in 2009, I wanted to have, like a first gen Camaro or 66, 67 Nova or, kind of iconic drag car, that every cool guy has, right?
Right.
And I had my Nova and I ended up selling my Nova. But there's something about this car that I absolutely love. It's fun to drive and they've gone up in popularity a huge amount. And here's another really fun story about this car. So I was in Terre Haute, Indiana at the Wagler drag strip there for an event.
Yeah.
And you know who Kenny Underwood is, right?
Oh yeah.
Skinny Kenny.
Yep.
So he keeps on coming down. We're pitted down by the ET shack and he keeps on coming down on his scooter and he's like 50 feet away just staring at my car. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. And I've talked to Kenny before and Kenny's a nice guy, but I'm like, why does he keep on staring at my car? And so I think I mentioned it to Langdon or somebody. And they said, oh, he's got one of those he's building. He's got a white car just like mine now.
No.
Yes. And I'm like, he copied my freaking car.
That's hilarious.
If you look it up, what he's racing now, because he had that third gen white when he was racing for a while, he's got like a 78 to 81 Camaro that is white, just like mine. And I mean, if you're watching on like the Spring Fling, live feed, it looks like my car.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love it. So what is the plan for, I mean, obviously you're going to have to finish putting it, getting it into, racing shape, but what's the plan? Are you going to bracket race it? Are you going to do some no time stuff with some of the toot on it? Are you going to do all the things? What are you thinking?
I'm just going to bracket race it. Eventually I'm going to put a bigger cell in it so I can possibly do a drag and drive event. But it's licensed for the street. I mean, it's title, everything. I mean, and before we left Washington State, we have property up there. So it's licensed in Washington State, and Washington State isn't like Texas. So when they issue a collector plate, it's $60 and it's for lifetime.
Right. Yeah.
And you're not supposed to drive the car more than 500 miles a year and blah, 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 or car shows and all that stuff. But it's a collector plate and it basically never expires. So that's what's on. It's all the lights work, the tail lights work, the brake lights work, the reverse lights come on with the trans brake, the headlights work. The only thing that doesn't work is it doesn't have turn signals and it doesn't have wipers.
Right.
So, which are two things that, I mean, nobody in Texas uses a turn signal anyway, and don't drive it in the rain. So I'm good.
Right. Well, and hell, I've done too many drag and drives to count with no wipers, so that doesn't, and power tours, so that doesn't bother me. But so here's one of my things. So I love the car. I think it's great, and I love what you had done to it because it looks really nice. I've always said to people, people always like make a comment about, oh, I'd drive that thing. I've driven a fair number of race cars in my day, and I always tell everybody it's not the driving it, it's crashing it that I care about. So I look at a car and I look at it as, am I willing, to be in this thing if the shit goes down and it crashes, right? Because the reality is that, a pile of crap will go down. If it goes down the racetrack and there's no issue, it doesn't matter whether it has a roll bar in it or it doesn't or anything. It's when things go wrong that you need it to be good. And that car is good. And it's funny because you say like, it's a wake up call, is why you rebuilt this car. Like you could have been bracket racing this car, all the last half of last year and already this year, with it the way it was before. I mean, it would have been fine, until it wasn't, right? And so, I know that, younger people think, oh, these old guys, they're just being stupid. But the reality is, it's the safety side of things. It's also the consistency side of things. It's also the fact that the entire bracket race world that we know is getting higher and higher power, faster and faster cars. I mean, what does this thing run, or what are you expecting it to run in this, new configuration?
It's a 6.0 car in good air.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fast.
Yeah, but that's fast. I mean, it's not, I know it's not as fast as, as some stuff, but still, I mean, that's fast for a car that weighs, 2,850 pounds or whatever with you in it. It's still moving. Right. So, I love it. And Doug says there are two kinds of drag racers, those who have wrecked and those who haven't wrecked yet. And that's true. I mean, I'm lucky. I didn't, I have never crashed a car, and hit anything. But I've spun a few of them out. I looped the Bonneville car at 238.41 mile an hour. So, trust me, it's interesting,
I came close to wrecking this car. I mean, I put it up on two wheels sideways at about 135 through the traps. That was kind of a scary moment because the first thing that went through my head was I welded this cage. But I will say that Bob, when he was cutting the cage out of it, Bob said that there was nothing wrong with the structural integrity of my cage. He didn't find one wrong. So I mean, yet I still spend the money. Yes, I did, but I mean, it's still nicer because to me, some of the welds weren't the best on the cage. I mean, were they stuck together? Yes, but now it all looks nice. And
right.
When we get older like this, we like to have. You get more appreciation for nicer things, especially when you can afford them. So,
That's true.
There's, I was gonna ask you guys a question because we're talking about wrecks, and it seems to me, and maybe I'm just seeing more of the videos of it and everything else of like at Yellow Belly and some of the other tracks. But like one of the reasons I won't race no prep is because I know when my ability to lift and save for another race. Right. I don't trust the person in the other lane. So that's why I don't do it. But it seems like we're seeing more and more of collateral damage of car in X lane crossing over, hitting car in Y lane. And maybe I'm seeing the wrong videos, but I'm seeing a lot more of that. And I call them hero drivers because I think they're over driving the track. And most of the time it looks like they are. But there's a lot of collecting up other people's stuff.
Well, that's that never lift mentality, right? And that never lift mentality is not safe for anybody, So I know where you're going with that, and I have to say, like I've told a lot of my bracket race buddies, throw a kit on your bracket car and go do some no time stuff because you will absolutely be able to do well at it because you got a car that hooks on a gravel road and is consistent every time, right?
Absolutely.
But I totally get what you're saying because, I've had a lot of conversations, how big of a proponent I am of safety equipment. And I've bitched at guys, at the racetrack that I'm supposed to be lining up against who don't have any of the right safety gear. And I've told them, like, look, you think this is about you, but if you're on fire and can no longer drive this car because you're swatting at the fire because you're wearing, a pair of jeans and a, t-shirt. Exactly. You got track pants on, come on. Then, you're doing that because you're burning up. I don't blame you, but you're no longer driving the car, which means you're crashing into me. And you better hope you're hurt real good or I'm going to beat your ass, and that's the thing. It's just, there's no, there's no thought as to how it impacts anybody else. And so I get that. I mean, I would run at some of these races, but and I know Ryan would, but he won't let Jake run at those races until he gets experience. Right. I mean, obviously, it's the same kind of thing. Right.
I mean, everything goes right until you run out of talent.
Yeah. Right. Well, and there's some guys that don't have any talent before they get there. They had a pocket full of money and thought they could buy talent.
Well, it's funny you say that though, Ryan. You're 100% right because I mean I've had this conversation as well, and in drivers meetings and stuff, and some of these guys don't like it, but the reality is that you can pick whatever car it is you like, right? I mean, it's this Camaro, it's a Fox Body Mustang, it's a whatever that you want, and if you have that in a credit card, you can absolutely buy everything you need with zero fabrication required to run deep in the 8s or faster for 20 grand. I mean, and a credit card at Summit.
Yeah, but the one thing you can't buy at Summit is experience, and that's when it comes to no prep stuff. So obviously, you're going to have a more consistency of incidents in no prep than probably in any other racing, backside or front side or whatever.
Right.
And it really and truly, I've always said it since it ever started, up here at North Star all those years ago. I've seen guys go down crappy streets and do better than they did on a scraped track. So, I think some of these guys, I mean, there's a lot of these guys that I wouldn't mind squaring up next to any day of the week. But there are a few of them out there that they really don't have any business. And it always scares me. Like, when you think about the Little Gangsters race, the guy with the Pro Mod, the Stewed, that's a driving full and that's a tuning full. And
I know him well, and he's a really nice guy, but holy crap.
Man. But usually when you see a Pro Mod show up to something like that, that's the guy I'm scared the most of, because
right.
they really don't have a lot of, most of those guys don't have any business being there. That dude did his own work. That dude has done his work and put in the time. So,
but I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of no prep racing with that car in the last year or so. But you're talking about a screw blown Studebaker Pro Mod car, literally, that they put a 28 10.5 tire on. And I've seen him do it before, and I've been there when it runs. But did you see the video of that thing airborne?
Yes.
Not once, but twice. I mean, oh my God, at Yellow Belly, it's insane.
And we talked about this on our on the Tailgate Throwdown podcast the other night, because there's always the questions that come up now. Like, does the Pro Mod being in that class, does it kind of ruin it for everybody else? And in my opinion on it is, well, or does it start another class? And my opinion on it is, there's no way it's going to start another class, because there's not going to be a bunch of Pro Mod guys that are going to do what this guy's doing. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
Does it ruin the class? Well, pretty much, if you don't have something as fast as Studebaker, you're racing for second place, because that car, he's done his homework. He's got the passes in. He's got the data. He's got everything he needs to come back there and smack everybody around again. So aside from a parts failure or a boo-boo driving, that car that's a number one car every time.
Didn't K-Max beat him?
Nope.
He didn't beat him? Okay.
Nope.
I did.
No, KC got smacked around twice by that car.
Okay.
Now, they were on the cast system. They were on that compressed air stuff.
Yeah.
But, if it was ProCharge, if he had the ProCharge big block in it, I think it'd be a different, I don't know. I mean, it would have been closer. It was still a pretty close race, but it would have been closer. But I still think that Studebaker would have run off from him. They had that thing on a rail, man.
I will tell you that the compressed air supercharger systems, I mean, we've talked about them a bunch here. Dude, they're making huge advancements right now. It's insane. And that's mostly because there are a couple of guys who are very well known for running blower combos and turbo combos, who have recently installed systems in their cars and are now doing testing with them. And they're pushing things, in a different way, because they don't care about the consistency. Well, they care about it, but that's not what they're just trying to do. They're trying to see where they can go with this. And you remember they had the dual systems or the single system. I know guys that are at 300 and 400 horsepower more than they say the single system is good for. That is really going to be an interesting one with the whole compressed air supercharging. It is going to be interesting. I mean, that's a sidetrack because you mentioned it, but yeah. And Little Gangsters is, for anybody that doesn't know, that series, Jimmy Dale, Tom Gunner, he, started that deal. And what's funny is, this is going to sound wrong. I was going to say they're not fast. Their 530 is the quickest you can run. If you run quicker than 530, you're out. But it's a 530 index class, basically. Run heads up. And it's, 530s is fast, but it's not nearly as fast as a lot of other people that are out running no prep stuff, on a small tire. They've built this to try and be more attainable for, more people. And I love it. It's great. It's a fun class, but it makes it even more ludicrous that somebody shows up in something like the Pro Mod or whatever. Although I don't know if he was running Little Gangsters or was he running in the all 28s?
He was all 28s. And okay. I think there was another, they had another one called the Golden Cup.
And, oh yes, the Golden Cup.
Yeah,
yes.
So there's no cap on that. The only one that has the cap is the Little Gangsters, and then they have another one that's like a floating cap, like a 560, 580, 60, I think.
Yeah.
And they drew the 560 cap.
They do that like Cheap Street then, where they draw a chip for
Yeah,
it?
they did on this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And they had a young bracket racer guy come out there, and I think he won it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I have a question, Chad.
Yeah.
So on the compressed supercharging, what are they doing for the bottle mounting of that makes it safer? Because we've all seen nitrous bottles eject out of cars with billet mounts and everything else in a wreck. Now you're talking about putting a torpedo in a car.
Right.
So
there's a couple of things.
I don't know. So I'm asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of things. So the tanks are carbon tanks in the cars. That is not only for weight, but also from a safety perspective, the carbon tanks are better. The big deal is that these tanks are bigger around. Even the small diameter tank is still considerably larger around than a nitrous bottle. And one of the problems with a nitrous bottle is if you have really good mounts, if you have the nice mounts, then it squeezes the whole bottle. But you and I both know that a lot of the cheapy mounts that are out there really only touch the bottle like total, maybe a third of the way around the bottle. And when it gets into extreme conditions, they just can't, just aren't holding on. But yeah, these things use a pretty trick mount on them. And the other thing about them is that, they are just regular air. It's scrubbed, so it doesn't have any humidity in it. But it's just regular air, just like in a scuba tank. So that's what a lot of people refer to them as, scuba tanks. But so there isn't any of the like adding oxygen to, a fire like a nitrous bottle or any of the other things. Like, so that part of it's good too. And there's also not the dangers that, it's not a problem when you have a small CO2, but I do know of a couple of circumstances where people had the CO2 push systems. I can't remember what those are called, the ones that push the nitrous. The one I'm talking about.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're CO2. And so there have been some incidences where like something fails on the bottle and it fills the car with CO2 and you can't breathe. You can breathe it, but it has no oxygen in it. Or not enough. So it's not good. So anyway, it doesn't have any of those hindrances. But the mounts for them are considerably different and a lot more trick, at least in the cars that I've seen with them. And they're an awesome system because as far as the car is concerned, it's just naturally aspirated until you activate it.
And shoving it in there.
Yeah. And in fact, you stage the car, is on the motor, the whole deal. It doesn't activate until you let go of the trans brake button. But it's instant, but it makes it so it's super easy to stage the car. The transmission is happy because it doesn't sit there like a turbo car and have to be up on the converter for so long. So there's no extra heat or any of those things. It's pretty trick. And
they can lay dead flat. That's what, Ron Hagen said, the bottles can lay just flat. Yeah, it's
that's true too. Yeah, they don't have to pick up a fluid inside them. That's right. Yep. And they are also not, like you don't have to run fancy fuel with this. Like you can run pump gas with these things. And most of these guys are not, but you can because the air inlet temp in the intake manifold it's usually like freezing. It's that cold. Like it's unreal how cold it is. It's crazy. It's colder than ambient. So by a lot. So the one of the guys I know that had recently tested it, made runs, was 90 degrees outside. He made runs and his air inlet temp was reading in 5 to 10 degrees. So, it's pretty impressive. So it's neat stuff. It really is. It's amazing technology. and it's not new, quote unquote, but it's new because of how to control it and utilize it now, you know.
Right.
So
I remember them coming out a long time ago, but
yeah,
it just didn't catch on. Not a lot of people.
right.
But it was probably because they didn't have a way to control it. And I think that's what KC's really spending a lot of time, because KC Max, he's a nerd when it comes to race car stuff. And
Right.
And he's going to figure it out, and he's going to figure out how to make it work really well. And I was impressed with how well it worked at Little Gangsters. I mean, it's even in some of his testing videos. I've been watching some of his testing videos on it, and it's pretty cool stuff. He'll figure out how to make it fly. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been around it just with, with the Pierces, but it's
Tina
really
Pierce.
neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tina and David, had them on the show and talked to them all about it. And
I missed that one. That's right. I wasn't there.
Yeah, that's right. And so, it was David and then the owner of Compressed Air. We had both of them on, and it was awesome to talk to them about it. Again, I've been around the truck and the car, both running it a bunch. And so I've seen them make dozens and dozens and dozens of passes with those systems. It's really cool. And the only part of it that's trick, quote unquote, is the valves and stuff that go from the tank into the engine, right? Yeah. The diverter valve, they call it, which is in essence, the throttle body, and that stuff. But otherwise, like the filling of the tanks and all that stuff is like all readily available stuff that you can get anywhere, because they've been filling scuba tanks for, 100 years. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, Rock fills them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's it's very drag and drive friendly, actually, compared to what you'd think. You just need a generator to run your tank filler, your compressor, or a gasoline powered compressor, which is very, like, dive compressors. It's very common for those to be gasoline powered or diesel powered, on a boat instead of electric.
So that's all it is. You just use a compressor to fill the tanks back up. There's no, you don't have to go somewhere and get some special air or anything.
No, that's it.
What's the PSI of these tanks?
I don't remember now. I'd have to look.
It's pretty high.
Yeah, it's high, but I can't remember. Let's see here.
I assume that it's orifice down to lessen the pressure a little bit, maybe going in.
Well, it's all controlled with a regulator.
4,500 PSI, Rod says.
Is that what it is? Oh, okay. Rod's saying that's what it is in the scuba tanks. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so it has a couple of things. So when it goes through here, I'll actually throw it up on the screen here. So the system is really rather simple. I mean, when you see it and you look at the configuration, it's pretty simple, right? So you've got your tanks, and then you've got, you're going to, if you're using multiple tanks, which everybody is, they're all going to come together. And then you've got the mechanical pressure regulator. So this regulator, you literally going to set your max pressure with that. Okay. But then there's, besides the safety valves, this is the electronic pressure regulator, is the one that's up front. And so that is the one that is like your boost control. Okay. So that's the one that your Holly or your, whatever, big stuff or whatever you're using is going to control in order to control the, amount of boost you're getting. And this thing,
blow off valves too?
No. So that's the amazing part about it. So they call this thing the ejector, assembly. So this is a throttle body in essence, okay, that has so the valve on the front of it closes when you activate the system. So when you let go of the so you would stage the car and this throttle body would be open, to wide open. When you give it throttle on the trans brake, it's wide open, right? As soon as you let go of the button, it closes the throttle blades on this ejector assembly. And then the only air coming into it is through your compressed air system, right? Wow. So then whatever that thing is providing is what the engine sees. So it doesn't see any outside air at all while at wide open throttle going down the racetrack. And so that's why the air inlet temperature is so cold and all of that, because, you're talking about releasing, pressure, right? And so that makes, super cold air, right? So because you know that on the tank side of this regulator, it's going to be considerably higher than on the, engine side, obviously, because on the engine side, you're going to be, let's say 15 or 20, pounds of boost, let's say. Well, on the other side of the regulator, if it's 100 or 200 or 500, think about what it's like when you have your air compressor gun and you just blast it at your hand or whatever, how cold it is comparatively, same deal. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
So when you were talking about stages, they must have a couple more of those regulators up front that basically they can activate to have different stages of it.
Yeah, so let me see if they have a picture here that I can grab and I'll show you.
I'm sorry for pulling you guys down this rabbit
hole. No. So, okay, so this is this is that ejector or whatever you want to call it, valve, right? I always refer to it as a diverter, but it's not. But if you take this ejector valve assembly, so see how it has this big AN fitting on the top of it? Mm-hmm. That is actually, let me see if I can make this bigger. So it's this piece. So this is a single stage because it has one inlet.
Okay.
I don't know that they call it a stage, but what I'm calling a second stage has two inlets in it. So it has dual electronic regulators and dual inlets, etc. So in that scenario, you could leave on one and add the second one in the middle or whatever. But here's the other thing. It allows for like the most finite boost control. It's unreal. You can, like Rod's saying, they do it, they progressively open the pressure valve. They can do anything. They can open it fast, slow, close, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And it's just incredibly smooth. And then when you get to the other end and you get out of the throttle, it kicks open the throttle blade here that lets the atmosphere back in and shuts this off, right? At which point it's just an NA engine idling back to the pits and everything. You know what I mean?
It's freaking crazy.
It doesn't care.
Hey, let's just add one system to the cart. Let's see how expensive they are. Just add it to the cart. Don't hit buy now.
Yeah, let's not do buy now.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm curious. It's probably gonna be like call for pricing.
I don't remember how much.
Jake's truck could use one of these.
I know. That's why I'm trying to figure out what the future conversations with my wife are going to consist of. Hey, babe, you're not going to believe this on the podcast.
Yeah,
me and the guys found something.
I wonder how long it's going to take to get to Pro Mods.
Well, okay, so this car right here is running it. This is the owner of the company. He owns this car, and it's a top sportsman car in Midwest Drag Racing Series. And so, not far off is, I guess, the way I'd put it.
Hey, AD.
Yeah, so 423 small block, pump gas, This is a video from CarCraft magazine, or a story from CarCraft a few years ago. I don't see.
There's no bite now.
Let's see. Yeah, where is the?
Mm-hmm. Probably
Okay, so a 5-inch ejector is good for 2,500 horsepower.
That's what I'm talking about. That's probably good for me.
The 3.5 inch, the 3.5 inch is for 1,300, and see it has one inlet.
Yep.
The 5-inch has two inlets, one over here and one over here.
All right, let's keep it more in line with reality. 1,300 horsepower is enough for me to mess some stuff up.
Dude, you can mess some stuff up with a 150 horsepower.
Did it say $350 up there, or did I see it wrong?
No, you saw it way wrong. Hold on, let me.
And you still got to buy the bottles, and the lines, and everything else. So,
oh yeah. So I don't.
No, they got to get you on the phone.
I think you have to. Yeah, I think you have to configure it with them on the phone.
Yeah,
right
they're
now.
like this. Hey, okay. Do you also want to get this valve? And how many bottles did you want? Now,
Yeah,
I can tell you, most of our racers like to have 5 or 6 of the bottles just in case. But we can set you up with 2 if you want to start there. And also, too, did you want the 2-stage valve, or the single? Now, I mean, there's some benefits to it. Blah blah blah. All right, we got everything added up here. Are you ready for me to stick it in? There you go.
Stick it in. I see what you did there.
hey, you mentioned the Midwest Drag Racing Series.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go sideways again. My guy Sean Ellington.
Yeah, dude. I know.
Moron Nation won a pro mod race.
Yes,
and
dude.
It wasn't like he got red lights all the way there. The guy can drive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he can, and he had a great car. That blue Camaro is owned by Keith Haney. If you're watching and you don't know, it is. It's owned by Keith Haney. It is, from everything I understand, it is the identical twin to Mark Mickey's car, to his Camaro, in every way. And so that car obviously has been, one of, if not the quickest pro mod car on the planet for the last 2 years. So, it's, the car is there. There is no doubt. But with that said, like, they tuned it. They did all the stuff. I mean, Sean's a good, like, I like Sean. I've known Sean for years. I think he's great. I think his wife Arron's awesome. His son Aiden's great. They're just good people, good human beings. And they
Phantom too.
Yeah, and they kill it. They do a great job. And so yeah, I mean, well deserved. They came out and they absolutely beat everybody's ass. I think it was cool,
Yep.
I just wanted to give a little credit out there, because everybody, looks at the TV show and all the other stuff, and these are morons and they can't fucking race. They can't drive. They couldn't race a real car. You hear all the naysayers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And Kai winning down in Florida, Sean winning the Midwest Pro Mod Series. I mean, these guys can still, I mean, are there some of them that don't deserve to be in a race car? I will say yes. But there's certain ones that can drive. And Sean wasn't late on the tree.
No,
I've always said it, man. If you want somebody who can drive just about anything, you start with a no prep or a street racer. They can learn all the tricks of the trade for every other thing. It's going the other way that's tough. The guys that are good on sticky tracks, that are good on a pro tree, can't cut a light on a flashlight, and can't race a no prep track. So I'd rather have the other guy that started out there and moved into the other stuff.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
A little more experience, but
you nailed that, Ryan, because there's some guys that started on the track that don't need to be on a no prep surface, and I'm not going to name names. But
oh yeah, absolutely.
There's a guy here locally that, and I say locally, he runs a few of the tracks. I'm not going to say his name, but he drives a certain car, and I have seen him crash this car 3 or 4 different times. I've seen him launch it and try to launch it in reverse. I've seen him do, and it's a fast car. Like, it is a sub mid 4-second car on a no prep surface. And every time that guy comes up to the burnout box, I'll walk away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's get talking about the project you guys have going on there, Ryan. So you've mentioned it before. This is your son Jake's S10.
Yeah.
I have photos here that I'll share in a second. Let me grab one shot to show people what this thing looks like.
Do you have one credit card that's not melted yet?
They're all melted together, bud. They're creating one super card.
Yeah, one super card. I love that. Oh, that's awesome. So it's not pretty, but it's a square body S10, and you know I approve of that. So tell us the story. How did this thing come about? And you know, how did you get it? When did you get it? All those things.
All right. So 4 years ago, and I'd say 5 years ago, Jake started telling me about cars that he wanted, and he was 8 years old. And he said, "Dad, I want one of 3 cars, and these are the 3 cars that I want, hell or high water." And I'm like, "Okay, what is it?" And he goes, "68 Chevelle."
Sorry, kid.
Yeah, he said 68 Camaro, skirt, and he said S10 or a G-body Malibu. Well, I had a Malibu at the time, so I'm like, "You ain't getting mine, but we can find you another one."
Right.
So I started looking for a Malibu for him, and I found a couple, but you know, people were starting to get a little outlandish with pricing. And Jake had money saved up because I always told him, I said, "Look, if you're committed to something long enough, and I feel like you're dead set on it because you're a kid, your frontal lobe isn't even close to being developed yet, so they change their mind every 2 seconds." I'm like, if you say you want something and I hear you a year later say the same thing, then we'll start looking for it. So a year later, he tells me, I said, "Hey, you still thinking about cars?" He goes, "Yep, I still want one of those 3 or 4 cars." And I was like, all right. So I started looking for a Malibu. I found one. But then he's like, "Dad, I don't know. I started thinking about it. You already have a Malibu. I think I'd rather have an S10 or something like that." And I was like, "An S10? He goes, "Yeah, because I really like."
You're going, "Yes, the cheap one."
I was like, "Well, you ain't getting a Nova or a Chevelle or a Camaro. We're not wadding that up for the first one. I was lucky enough to get that, but I ain't paying that. We didn't pay that kind of money. We paid S10 money when I got that car." So I was like, all right, well, I'll start looking. So cruising around the internet marketplace, sitting on the crapper till your legs go numb like we all do. And I find
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Never done it before, huh?
Nope.
Yeah. It used to be a stack of
his legs don't touch the ground.
Yeah, well, that's true. But it used to be a stack of Auto Traders, right? But
yes.
now it's marketplace instead of licking your finger and then turning the page. So I'm cruising around. I find this little S10 for sale, and the guy wants like $800 for it. And I'm like, wow. He had 600. I think he had $650 saved up. Yeah. And so I messaged the guy and said, "Hey, look, I don't know if you're willing to do this or not, but so my son, he's 9 years old. He's been saving. He's really wanted an S10. He's got $650. Would you be willing to take that for it?" And he goes, "Yeah, but he's going to have to negotiate the deal." I said, "I totally plan on that." So we hopped in the car, drove to Oklahoma, and met these 2 kids. They were kids. They were like 22 years old. So
okay. Yeah.
It was a boyfriend and girlfriend. It was a girl's first truck, and it had been hers. It had been broken for a while. She got a new car, so it was just sitting on her parents' property. And Jake looked at it, and I made this video of him going around and kicking the tires, and he did such a good job, man. I was really proud of him. Like, he negotiated the whole deal. He's like, "Well," he goes, "what do you think, young man?" He goes, "Oh, I like the truck, but I don't know. Will you take $600 for it?" And the guy's like, "Oh gosh, darn it, man. I was hoping at least get 700. And he goes, "I'll be willing to meet you at 650. And so the girl ends up, it's her truck. She goes, "I'll tell you what, if you let me come take pictures of you," because she's a photographer. She goes, "If you let me come take pictures of you in the truck whenever you're done with it, I'll let you have it for $625. So we bought it, brought it home, cleaned it up. My buddy came over. He owns a detail service. He came over and detailed the truck, like brought the paint back to life. Like, it looked like $1 million. I was like, hell yeah, let's get rocking and rolling. And then it sat for a year. And I don't know, a year and a half in, he has enough money. I find a 5.3 for sale over in Dallas. We drive over and pay $500 for it, throw it in the bed of the truck. I'm like, sweet, you got yourself a motor. And we pull that motor apart. and it was wore the hell out. So I ended up making a deal with Dave because I had an AR-55 speed, and he goes, "I tell you what, give me all this 5.3 crap, give me the AR-55 speed, and I'll put you together a real nice 5.3." I was like, "He goes, I'll do Gen 4 rides, the whole nine." So, all right,
Yeah.
So we made the swapperoo, get him a motor built. I bought a nice cam for it, blah blah blah. I say I bought it, Jake bought it, he spent his money on it, but I went and physically purchased it for him. Right. Jacoby's like, "Hey, bro, does he need a transmission?" I said, "Yeah, what you got?" And he goes, "I got an awesome turbo 350 with an ultra bell."
Oh, that's brake. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's got a pro mod drum. It's got a billet input shaft. And he goes, "And I even got a 9-inch 4000 ATI stall converter for it, brand new." I said, "God damn, I don't know if he has that kind of money. What do you want for it?" He goes, "Man, for my man Jake, tell him to bring me $1,100. It's all fresh and ready to go." So Jake had $1,150 or $1,200 saved up, and we went and took that money over there and got him a nicer transmission I ever had. So we get all this stuff. It sits here forever, and then we finally last October after the throwdown, where I was like, "All right, son, let's start putting this thing to work. You got some parts. Let's start putting it together."
Yeah. So
we shove the motor and transmission in it, get him a tranny cross member, we're good to go, and we throw it in there, and then we kind of get to a stopping point because we bought headers for it, and those are expensive, and we brought it back to my shop because we took it over to Dave's to put it in there because we needed to cut the the cross member out and stuff, make the pan fit and all that stuff. So brought it back to the house, and it's been sitting there chilling. And I had all intentions of, when we had originally planned this whole thing out, Blaine was a kid and he wanted to come to Rocky Mountain Race Week to race Blaine. Okay. But Blaine's older now, so he's not. And I tried to explain it to him. I was like, by the time you can do Rocky Mountain Race Week, Blaine's going to be out of the junior street class.
Right.
So, but there will be fresh blood. Don't worry. And he's like,
don't worry. Yes.
I'm going to race him so bad. So we had always planned that when he became 13, we would go to Rocky Mountain Race Week and race the truck and let him race his truck.
Yeah.
But, after the throwdown, everything happened, everything kind of slowed down, and my truck was already done. And I was like, "Hey, instead of thrashing to get your truck there, you already know how to drive my truck. It already kind of, when you're driving it, you can run the number. You've already run the number like 4 times in a row.
Right.
You're comfortable." So the plan was, let's take Dad's truck, make it easy. And then we go to test my truck, and my truck goes, hey, remember me? Yeah, I'm going to occupy your shop for a little while, just dumping all kinds of fluids out on the floor. So I don't know what happened. I either cooked the head gasket or cracked the cylinder wall in it. I don't know why it happened the way it did, but it did happen that way. So now we've got to come up with plan B, and now we're thrashing away to get the truck done. And we've had to rewire this thing front to back. The wiring harness had all kinds of crap going on with it. Burnt sections. Mice had gotten in there at some point in time and chewed on stuff when it was in Oklahoma. And so instead of troubleshooting problems that we spliced into on the way, we decided, let's just rip all this out, put a new harness in it. So we got a new harness, rewired the taillights, rewired the headlights, rewired the windshield wiper motor. So it's got all the street stuff. It's got a stereo in it now, USB ports, the whole nine. And then I was like, man, I'll tell you what, other than getting a rear end together, I think we're pretty set. And I was like, we'll just weld the 7.5 up. It'll make it. And I'm like, how many times have I say that in my life? And it doesn't happen.
Uh-huh.
So we put out the APB for a rear end, and Michael Hollis stepped up and was like, oh, dude, I would love to, but I see I'm on a very tight budget now. And so Michael Hollis stepped up and he's like, hey, dude, I've got this 8.8 that I was going to put in my truck. It's got strange brakes on it. It's the right width. It's been braced. It's got 35 spline strange axles in it. It's got a full spool, 373 gears. He goes, it is ready to go. And I was like, that sounds very pricey. And he goes, I'll make you a smoking deal. I was like, it still sounds pricey. So now we're into Dad and Mom are having to pump money in this thing, which I always told Jake. I said, if you get to a point where this thing is like, you are invested, you're working your ass off, you're doing good in school, you're getting good grades, and he's got straight A's. He's in the National Junior Honor Society. He plays football. He's a quarterback. He puts in the work. And I said, if you stay on track and you do these things, then we'll get to a point where we'll start splitting stuff with you, or maybe we'll help you out. So we're in the stages of let's help Jake out,
right?
And that's fine. and we got this awesome rear end. So now we've got to get the rear end of the truck, measure the drive shaft. We already have the drive shaft components. We just got to measure it, tack it up, go have it welded and balanced. And exhaust is done. Wiring is just about done. Motor's in. We fired the motor up finally. It sounds great. It sounds better than my motor ever did. It sounds
awesome.
Yeah, dude, it's great, man. I'm like, what did I build?
I built I'm gonna share some photos, okay, that you sent. So this first photo is actually, hold on here. Yeah, this first photo is when you first started taking it apart.
Yeah, this was a year and a half ago when we first moved out here, maybe 2 years ago. Yeah.
So notice how tall Jake is in this photo as he's taking the front fender off, right?
Yeah.
And then here he is now, at least a foot taller, if not more than that. And
you, Chad.
And
he might be taller than Chad.
I know he might be now.
He's almost 5'10", dude. He wears a size 13.
I'm 5'10", so there you go.
Yep.
Yeah. And what size shoe did you say he wears?
13 now.
Yeah, that's where he and I are the same on that. So there you go. The thing I love about this is here he is, painting up the core support, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this fender that he's getting ready to put back on, you'll notice the entire inside of it has been repainted.
Yeah.
Like he's doing stuff clean, what he's doing. So it's a carbureted 5.3, right?
Yep.
I assume it has forged pistons and stuff in it.
Yeah, it's got good pistons. It's got stock Gen 4 rods and crank. Yep. And it's got like a BTR Stage 2 cam.
Oh, perfect. Like a Truck Norris or something like that.
Something similar, yeah.
And this is Dave here from Elmo Performance. I doing something transmission related. You're just holding the light because that's all you're good for. What is he torching here? So he's using the torch in two different shots here.
And so, all right. So this shot here is, we had to buy cheap parts for the S10 in some instances, and we bought the cheap transmission cross member, and it's awesome, but only if you're running open headers.
Right.
So
you have to do a little adjustments.
Yeah, we have to make some adjustments, and then Dave there is cutting off the little stock flange and ball and sockets because we put V-bands on it.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
And do I see that this thing has a trans brake in it and stuff?
It does, and obviously you can't use it yet, so we're going to put it on switch so we can go into reverse because it is a pro brake. So
that actually you don't even need a switch. What shifter are you putting in it?
So for his first one, we're going to put a B&M Pro ratchet.
Okay, well the B&M Pro ratchet has a reverse light switch.
Oh.
All you do is wire it to the reverse light switch. Well, literally every drag racer on the planet. Like I gave Doug Cook shit about this because he was like, look at our fancy shifter and it has a reverse switch so you can hook up your I'm like, so does every other goddamn shifter. Dude. Come on, bullshitter fucker. So all you do is wire your trans brake through the reverse switch. Okay. And now if you're racing the car and you're using the trans brake, then you do need to have a switch where you flip it for street mode and race mode. Okay. So in street mode, when you put it in reverse, it will just back up because of the switch that you have wired. But if you were racing it that way, then that switch is going to be open. It will never complete the circuit without flipping the switch. But again, that's like, Daphne's wagon has a switch panel in it for race mode because you can't reach the key and the dash when you're strapped in. Right. So it has a switch panel that you can reach. Well, when that's in race mode, then you arm the nitrous there, you start it there, you turn all the power on there, all the things. It's the same deal. So so for now, all he has to do is wire it into the shifter and it will back up perfectly fine. And you won't have to think about it.
Do you have the shifter? Do you have the shifter?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I have a spare one. So,
yeah, man. Yeah, we lucked out. So ended up buying, I found a deal and bought a 20-gallon fuel cell, aluminum fuel cell with a sitting unit, and already had the dash 10 to dash 8 fittings on it that I needed and everything. I bought that. It was brand new, never had anything in it. And I got the shifter for $400. The shifter was brand new too. It's still in a box.
Nice.
perfect.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so we used his money quite well there. And then that radiator is a good old Summit scratch and dent 56 Chevrolet LS dual pass radiator I found for $110.
Nice.
Got to find a cap that fits it because what they gave me is not correct. And those fans there are Dodge Stratus fans.
Really?
Bought off the old what you call
Nice,
it?
nice custom brackets on that too.
Hey, thank you. I handmade those myself.
No, they look good. I'm not.
Yeah. I appreciate it, dude. Yeah, I spent way too much time on this shit. I spent like 5 hours on it, but it looked really good.
It works nice. All looks great. Yes. Yeah. And you got plenty of room, and I mean, it looks awesome.
Yeah, we swapped to a LS1 water pump because the truck one wasn't going to work. Yeah, and I put the ICT billet alternator bracket to kick it over there. We had power steering on it, but it sets way too close to the gearbox. So at the tailgate throwdown, Jerry Dawson, one of our races there, he has a badass twin turbo S10, and we did. He just sold it to a friend of his, but he gave me a manual gearbox for this thing. So I've got all new steering components that we got to put on it. That's got all new tie rods, center drag link, all that stuff, alarm.
I was going to say, if you didn't know, they make a manual box for those. Yep. So that's awesome. That's great. Because you don't need, especially with the skinnies, he won't need it. All he needs to remember is it just needs to be moving. As long as it's moving, barely moving, it turns, it's fine.
Yep.
My manual box is out of an S10 in my Camaro.
Yeah. Because it's the same. Caprice, Camaro, S10, all there. Yeah.
And fun fact for anybody who's still doing gearboxes on the front of S10s, because I know everybody's doing the tubulars and the K members and the Flaming River racks and the things like that. That's great. But if you are still going to do the good old manual gearbox, just remember, I learned this the hard way. The Pitman arm is specific to the manual gearbox. The knurl on it, the hole is slightly bigger on the power steering one versus the manual one. So I didn't know that, and they're obsolete apparently. I tried through 5 or 6 different parts places, and they are NA. So I called the guy I got the box from, and he was like, "Oh, you're looking for this one right here. I'll show it to you." I was like, "Oh, thank God."
Well, and there's two ratios of the boxes too. There's a quick ratio and a slower ratio.
Yep.
Because I have the quick ratio in mine.
Yep.
Which, I mean, when you first start to drive with a manual gearbox going down the track, the input is very minimal, and the car will move.
Yes.
Easy.
Because it's like 2 1/4 turns lock to lock or something like that. It's fast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's quick. Yep. And then and everybody's pitched in like in some form or fashion. Like my buddy Josh out here, he had some catch cans. He gave me some Moroso catch cans for it. So we're going to throw those on. And then Dave we got a catch can for the transmission. Like, I mean, it's going to be I wished we had already completed like grinding down the frame and painting everything underneath the truck, because there's really no time for that right now. But,
You're still running power brakes
right now. So my friend Clayton, my old drag racing buddy, I sent him some pictures, and this morning he sent me a message and he said, "Why the hell do you have that power booster on that thing?" And I was like, "I know." He goes, "Get that off there. He doesn't need to accidentally mash the brakes too hard and lock the thing up." And I'm like, I know.
That's kind of true. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the cheapest master cylinder ever made was like a Dodge Caravan 1986, which is the same as the cheap, strange master cylinder you can buy. What I always tell everybody though is that I flip my lines. My rear line's my front line, my front line's my rear line. And it's because your skinny tire locks up a lot easier than your big tire.
Oh,
So-
right. But yeah, I would convert it to manual if you have time.
If I have time, we're going to definitely do it. If not, then I'm just going to say easy does her. But he can only go. He can't go faster than 9.0. So if he
That's
wrecks
true.
this thing in a 9.0, we're going to go and dismantle this sucker, just like Doc did with the DeLorean.
Yes, exactly.
9.0 in the eighth or in the quarter?
Well, in the
the
eighth, yeah.
Okay.
Dude, it looks good. I mean, look at how clean the core support is and everything with the radiator and all that in there, and
It's awesome.
that's so great.
Yeah, I'm super pumped, man. And I'm just it's my kid busts my balls more than anybody, and we have a lot of fun though. And I know it's like one of those things. Like I know that this time is the best time that I have with my kids. Before the world gets a hold of them, and I'm just trying to soak it in. And I don't want to go too fast, but it is going by fast. And
what fuel pump and filter do you have in here?
Holly Blue, baby.
Nice.
And then
since it's carbureted, that's all you need.
Yeah. And then a little overpriced Holly
Fuel filter.
Billet filter there.
You running Caltrax on it?
So we don't have anything on there yet, but we will have something on there before we go. It may be a little homemade, but if I can get my hand on some Caltrax, I'll definitely do it. But
are you doing a flip kit for the rear end? Are you gonna
S10? S10's already on top.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But so the rear end I bought from Hollis, he had some awesome Smith racecraft perches that came with it. So we're gonna put those on there, and they're good for like a 1-inch drop.
Right.
I really want the truck to come down about 4 inches in the back and about 3 in the front. We have the front springs, but I forgot S10s. See, the shackle is on top of the rear end or on bottom of the rear end, not to the side. So you really lower these things with a D-arch spring. So
you can't just move it up because, like you said, it's under the frame. So,
So, and I forgot all about that. So I was an idiot and bought some blocks, and I was gonna look for some shackles. I'm like, no. Now that we got the rear end, we got these perches. I'm gonna probably bite the bullet and get a 3-inch drop spring for it. And with the 1-inch perch, we'll put it at 4 inches dropped. So if
it were me, I would probably just buy the Calvert Racing springs for it.
Yeah.
Because they're
on those.
Yeah, because that's what you're going to ultimately want anyway. So you might as well just spend the money on them to begin with. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're let's see, what is
how the hell does a 9-year-old save up $600? Oh, Lycan.
Right.
So
I love that.
He saved it up. All his birthday money he got, any Christmas money he got, any time he got any kind of money. Plus he did chores for us, like he mowed the yard for me. He got paid, so he just saved every bit of his money. He didn't spend it on toys or anything. He just saved it for his truck.
Wait till he discovers women.
So he's got a girlfriend right now, and he's like, "Dad, I gotta get her a present." I'm like, "Hey, we got race stuff.
Yeah. You don't need to buy her shit. If it ain't her birthday or Christmas, you don't buy her a goddamn.
Not yet, buddy.
Just tell him to call me. Tell him to call Uncle Chad, and we'll have a conversation.
Hey, Jake, Uncle Chad said to call him. Get you lined out. Priorities.
Come on, kid.
No.
Hey, come here. Yeah. Anyway.
It'll be awesome. You should think about.
Hey, buddy.
Hello.
What is up, dude? We're looking at all the pictures of your car or your truck, and it's looking awesome.
Yeah.
Are you getting excited?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at him. He's like, I am, but I'm not gonna get too excited until we drive down the road. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's close.
I know my old man.
Yeah, but it's close.
That's exactly right. But yeah,
Whatever.
we're getting there.
Whatever.
You got plenty of time.
Dude, I just can't wait I can't wait till because so Hollis, I was going to tell this too.
Yeah.
This is the coolest thing, and I hope that I wish every kid out there would get to know the car world like my sons are. And I mean, you know as well as I do, car people are the best people on the planet, man. And I have some of the oldest friendships in my life are all from car people. And I talked about it in our last video for a split second because, I've known Hollis since he was 16 years old.
Yeah.
And he used to hop in the truck with us and go street racing. And I knew that red Nova when it had a 350 in it and a powder primer paint job, ran like 850s, 860s at Kennedale. And
right.
And when we went to go get this rear end, he goes, "What are you guys going to do about carrying your stuff?" And I was like, "Well, we had originally planned to put it in my full-size truck bed, but since we're not taking my full-size truck anymore,
right,
we're going to put everything in the bed of this S10, but this 20-gallon fuel cell is really taking up some real estate, And so he was like, I have a drag and drive trailer that I built specifically for this stuff. And I was like,
oh yeah,
I forgot. And he goes, "Dude, it's got everything you need. It's even got spare parts in it. It's got a spare alternator, spare starter. It's all that other stuff." And I was like, "Okay." And he goes, "Just borrow my trailer." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "It's got a hitch on it, doesn't it?" I said, "Yeah, and it's got lights." And he goes,
"Yeah,
just borrow my trailer. It's got everything you need in it."
Perfect.
I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
So now, we got a trailer.
Awesome. That's killer.
I love it,
dude.
I love it.
Yeah. It's gonna be awesome, man. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
And you got to hit up all your buddies because if you're, our age, and I'm probably older than both of you, but you get a stockpile of parts over the years because you upgrade your shifter, you upgrade this, you upgrade that, and so like Chad probably has hordes of stuff sitting there that he hasn't touched in probably 5 years.
Yeah.
So you got to remember to hit up all your buddies, your hot rod buddies going, "Hey, I'm looking for this," because we all have some of the stuff, maybe
all
the stuff,
Yeah. Well, for sure. I mean, I know, also, I know S10s real well. So getting them low and all that, that's the jam. And the reality that 8.8 is the perfect rear end. Like no matter what you do, it's great. Like it's the rear end. But the leaf springs, that kind of depends on what you want to do with the truck in the future as to whether or not you should stick with them or not, because it's really easy to put, a ladder bar setup in it or a triangulated 4-link or whatever else.
Oh yeah.
And, get it a lot lower and, all those things. And yes, that costs more money, but not necessarily when you compare to if you go and do that later. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always different ways to go about it. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
As you get older, you realize the long game because we've already done the short game, 3 times, and then we spent the money eventually anyway for I can't tell you how many. There's probably been 4 shifters in the Camaro. There's been at least 4 iterations of the motor. The first pass down the quarter mile in that car, I remember it was 1741 in the quarter. With a 305 with a 4-barrel and 241 gears. So there's just all the iterations, and you do what your means allow you to do. But the hot rod community is so good that if you just put the feelers out with your buddies, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I got that. I got these push rods. I got these lifters. I got 2 sets of LS3 Johnson lifters that have, I don't know, probably 180 passes on them.
Right
there. I've got a set of connecting rods, that are aftermarket. They're Comp Star stuff. Pistons. I got all sorts of stuff. I got a whole 428 FE motor. So, I got a 496. I got stuff coming out, everywhere. The only thing I'm missing is transmissions. But the moral of the story is just hit up your community. Yeah. Before you go to Summit and even the discount center or whatever else, hit up your buddies because there's good parts still out there.
Oh, dude, yeah. Dave has been a savior for this whole ordeal, man. I mean, because he is a hoarder of everything LS, and he, I mean, just like, I mean, the starter for the truck, the alternator for the truck, everything. He had all that stuff, and he just, gifted it to Jake, and said, "Hey, this is extra stuff I got. This will get you guys down the road." And I mean, I'm so thankful. I'm just so thankful for everybody that surrounds me because, I mean, even like when I first moved out here, Chad came out here and spent 2 days with me tearing my motor apart to find nuts that somebody had dropped down in my intake while I was at their shop for an anti-roll bar.
Yeah.
And help me reassemble that fucking piece of shit just so we can go racing, and then I can do an 8,800 RPM burnout and blow the fucking back of the goddamn intake gasket out. But hey,
we had fun.
Hey, we had a great time.
Those are called memories. You can't put a price on memories.
Dude,
Right.
Listen, that was the most fun. That was the most happy I think I had been, and couldn't race but more than 1 or 2 times in my life. I mean, I was just ecstatic that the shit was over, but I sure had a good time getting there.
Right.
Yeah.
I
So
love it.
But yeah, so if anybody wants to follow along Jake and his journey, we are putting videos out again on Streetcar Chronicles. You can follow that YouTube channel, and I'm going to try. My plan is, since we're doing the morning session of Mega Week, I'm going to try to get us out of there and driven to where we need to drive to, so I can set up and edit. And I'm going to try to do daily uploads of what we did that day instead of trying to wait until we get home and do it. So,
right, that's cool.
Yeah, we'll see. Awesome. Just depends on how much working we got to do. Everything's new, so everything should be fine, right?
Yes. Yes.
Been there.
China parts, we should be fine.
Dude, come on. I drove 1,500 miles to even get to the beginning of the race with all new stuff every year. It's fine.
It's got an LS in it. They're highway mode.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, shit, you can buy another one for $500 somewhere along the way. It doesn't matter. What rear end gear's in it?
373.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you're going to run a 275 drag radial under it?
Well, so I just bought brand new radials for my truck so we could go to this thing. And I can't fit a 28 on it because it sets too low. Yeah. So I bought a 275/50.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not buying a new set of tires. So he can, I'm going to.
Well, but those are fine. Yeah. But you put
I'm not bringing extra tires and swapping, but I don't know.
I would do, I would put a tall tire on it to drive down the road every day. Absolutely.
Otherwise, you're going to be turning like 3,200 RPM, 3,400
It's
RPM.
super easy on that thing to swap tires. So, yes,
I
would do it. I would do it if it were me.
We'll see if it's in the budget by the time the son of a bitch goes down the road. Because we still have to get it licensed too, because we never put it in our name. So I'm gonna do all that. And then I'm gonna take him because we've been trying to get him in for his licensing runs, but it's rained every freaking weekend that we could go.
Right.
So they're supposed to be doing it again this Saturday night from 5 to 1 o'clock. So we're gonna try to go get his runs in so we can get his license. If they don't,
where at
Ennis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so hopefully we can get that done because that's proven to be quite the pain in the what's with Mother Nature. So but anyway, looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the we can revisit the tires later. I may have something for you to borrow as well. So we'll figure it out. Yeah. Yeah. So,
but if you pop them, it's on you, man. Oh, wait, I'm the one that drives between the.
Yeah. So that's on you.
Shit.
Okay. I got an old set of 32s.
Yeah. There you go. It'll be awesome. It'll look great sitting there on the tire.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Great going down the road.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, the everybody that is out here watching today, I hope this show has inspired you guys to get out there and work on your projects as these guys are getting close on theirs, which is awesome. Yes. I love it. So keep it up. Keep saving your money there, Jake. Everybody is asking how in the hell you were that good about saving your money. So yeah,
man. Hey, listen. his brother, when he first started saving, Pokemon was hot. Okay. And his brother is one of them. He's one of them Pokemon dealers. Like if you're looking for a certain Pokemon, his little brother's probably got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or into Roblox. And so every time I'd have to take Austin to go get him some Pokemon, this dude was like, truck parts.
Yeah.
Truck parts. So
Priority
he played it his way. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
I love it.
It's hard, but
yeah.
It's hard, but yeah. And remember the golden rule, Jake. You remember? You only buy girls presents on Christmas and their birthday and Valentine's Day. That's it. No other presents.
Eat.
None.
Race car.
Yes. Exactly.
I say Christmas and birthday only. You don't celebrate Hallmark holidays.
That's true. Yeah.
That's a good point.
yeah,
Glad you brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have another conversation that we can't have on the podcast about why Valentine's Day is overrated, because it just doesn't matter. Yeah. It's not going to be the deal breaker that you think it might be.
Hey, I've been married over 25 years. I don't buy a birthday present, Christmas gift, nothing. She gets what she wants when she needs it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do minimal. We do minimal.
Yeah.
No, and definitely no heart day. We don't do that.
Yeah.
No. You can buy the roses for half price the day after.
Yeah, that's true. Oh God.
Yeah.
All right. Well, boys, appreciate it. Good show tonight. Everybody that's out there watching, we appreciate it very much. Thank you, Barnalicious and Neil and Rod and Lycan and everybody else, Ray, that joined us. We do appreciate you guys. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. So next Wednesday, we are doing a Power Shift episode, which will be me and Wickham and Crosby and McTaggart. And we have a special guest, Chad Ehrlich, from Nobody's Show and Nobody Else's Auto in Kansas, which is a big classic car wrecking yard that's amazing. And so we're going to do that next time. And 2 weeks from now, we'll do another episode of Triple B. And I know we've all been talking about a variety of guests. So we're going to have somebody cool, or maybe a couple of people that are cool on that episode as well. So, definitely tune in. And if you have not already subscribed to us on YouTube and you don't follow us on Facebook, then shame on you. Make sure that you guys do that. And that way you get notifications. Yes. Smash the like button for sure.
Smack it around with your money.
Yeah. All right, boys. Jake, Ryan, thank you. We'll see you next time. Aaron, see ya. You boys have a good one.
Check you later.
See ya.
Later.